You okay, PJ?
Ah!
The hype is real, ladies and gentlemen. The hype is real.
Ah!
But what is with all of the hype? Actually, now that I think about it.
Ah!
He cannot speak.
Ah!
It's like he's speaking in tongues.
Ah!
Ah!
Actually, no, I've spoken in tongues before. It's kind of weird. Anyway. So, yes, if you haven't heard about it already, I'm very surprised if you haven't, but... We'll go
if you follow BJ on Twitter, I'm sure you have.
or if you follow Pokemon in general.
Yes, we have today, after a very, very long time, have finally gotten a brand new Pokemon. Not a form, not something like what was akin to Zygarde or Greninja. An actual new Pokemon, fresh off the batch. This Pokemon is called Mageia, we haven't gotten an official pronunciation yet. Mageia, Magiana, Magiana. I don't know.
Yeah. Tomato.
Take it as you will. It's spelled Magiana. So take it as you will. So Mageia here, that's what I'm going to call it. It's a mechanical robot Pokemon.
A very kawaii desune mechanical Pokemon.
Kawaii des.
So, I guess before I get into the details of the very little information that was given about it, what are your guys' first initial I guess impressions of this Pokemon just by looking at it?
To me, it looks like this is going to be a cross between like a Steel Fairy type. That's kind of what this looks like to me. I mean, the mechanical, kind of a duh. That's usually, hands down Steel type. And the Fairy thing is very new. And to me, this just screams fucking Fairy type because, again, kawaii desune.
Yet the first thing that came to my mind was I thought it was somehow another evolution of I forgot what the name of this Pokemon was. It was another God damn it. It was like one of those, it was I guess a fairy Pokemon that came out, if you get a code for a Omega Ruby and Sapphire or something like that. I forgot what
Carbink and Diancie?
I think so?
No.
I mean, that's what I thought at first, but then I remember you telling me what this Pokemon really was, and,
it's shaped very almost similarly to Diancie.
Yeah, it's shaped similar. It's shaped similarly to that Pokemon, but from what you told me beforehand, no, clearly it's not.
Yeah,
this is something completely different.
Yeah, and my first impressions of it was it has a Pokeball for a dress. I don't know. It may just be me, but when I see that big spherical dress it has, it looks like a Pokeball with an opening on the bottom. Even the red top and the white bottom.
Yeah, it kind of does. Maybe a Premier Ball or something like that.
The creation of a new Premier Ball gone totally wrong, but it turned out to be a major success in the end.
Okay, so first impressions aside, what Mageia actually is. Mageia is talked about as being it is a man-made Pokemon, and it was one that was made over 500 years ago.
So this beats Mewtwo to the punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, but 500 years prior in a way, it's this is the first ever man-made Pokemon, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not true, actually. People probably want to say that is the case, but unless you can somehow explain Magnemite, and I actually did think about this earlier, I thought initially that maybe Mageia was the precursor. Maybe the technology that was used to give life to Mageia was the same technology that was used to give life to other man-made Pokemon, like the Klink family, or Porygon, or Magnemite, or Voltorb. That's what I initially thought. Then I recalled back in Pokemon X and Y, it showed clips of that 1,000-year-old war. There's Magnemite in that picture. I'm just oh, well, shit. So, unless Magnemite isn't man-made, we got a problem there.
Now you kind of got me thinking again. Now this is like, way out there and stuff. So I mean, yeah, with the whole Pokeball look and everything. I mean, this isn't the first time we have had Pokemon that look like Pokeballs. I mean, it's like, Electro and Voltorb, kicks. And then that Fungus or something, that was supposed to be like, oh, look, it's a Pokeball on the field. That's an item. Oh, no, it's a Pokemon itself. It was a freaking trap.
Yeah.
So if this is a man-made Pokemon that was made 500 years prior, and if Pokeballs, assuming anyway, are relatively, modern technology, is it possible that this Pokemon possibly led to the creation of Pokeballs?
That's another thing I was thinking about too. It's like we saw like the oldest version of Pokeballs we've ever really seen. Like for one thing, like we hear in the game is that initially, before technology took over, Pokeballs were initially made through the use of apricots. Like from what we see from like Kurt, he said that's how they were made back in the day. We also see in the fourth Pokemon movie, the Celebi Suicune movie, we saw what was a type of Pokeball, like a really old-fashioned Pokeball that Professor Oak as a child used, Sammy. And it was like a black ball where you like twist the knob, where you twist some kind of knob, and then it opens, and then that's what releases the Pokeball, as opposed to it being a button. It's a twist knob. So possibly this could be like some kind of prototype Pokeball, maybe, but that was given some kind of sentient life. It's hard to say. Now, in terms of this Pokemon's reveal, it's revealed to be the main Pokemon alongside Volcanion in the next movie. Like Volcanion was the third Pokemon that was found in the data of X and Y alongside Deanty and Hoopa. So Volcanion's coming up.
Okay.
And it's described that apparently. Volcanion's searching for it. Now, earlier in the day, actually, it's actually a good thing that we started recording this now. Earlier in the day, it was described that Volcanion is chasing it. Now, my initial thought to that was, oh, well, we know so far that Volcanion dislikes humans. Maybe Magenia has some kind of secret that has to do with humans that Volcanion wants or wants to get rid of. That's what I initially thought. But then it was described that actually what happened was Magenia was abducted by something called the Azoth Kingdom, which is a city of super machinery, and Volcanion's coming to save it.
Oh, okay.
And then like Ash and Co get involved somehow. And then,
of course.
Yeah. It also describes
fucking clockwork. It
also describes that Volcanion is the only Pokemon to know some kind of secret that Magenia has. Obviously, if it's getting all this hype, it must have some kind of hidden power.
Yeah.
So for right now, it's only up to speculation what that could be.
Right. And I guess as far as if we're talking about speculation, because, again, BJ, I know you've got all this, like, Pokemon information, like, ingrained in your fucking brain. But let's suspend reality and say that this, Magenia actually does end up being a Steel Fairy type. So, as far as, like, types, strengths, and weaknesses go, what are we looking at here?
Well, let me just pull up, Mawile's weaknesses, because Mawile is Steel Fairy. Let me just see.
Okay.
If Bulbapedia will work. Let's see. Being a Steel Fairy type. Let's see. You're only weak to ground and fire. You're immune to poison and dragon, and you resist 9 different types. You're only damaged normally by fighting water, ghost, electric, and steel, and then are only weak to ground and fire. So effectively, it's a very, very defensive typing, and a really good typing at that.
Okay.
Hell, actually, there's also Klefki, who's also Steel Fairy. So that would be really good typing, and considering just based on appearance, it looks like a very defensive Pokemon. So it could be a very good bulky Pokemon.
All right. I can deal with that. I like my defensive Pokemon.
Yep. So, I'm just trying to think of what else. Like, I know there was something else I wanted to bring up. It totally slipped my mind though.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me before we were recording. Not with the reveal of this Pokemon. Also brought out the confirmation that this also brings in like a new generation of Pokemon. So yeah, there is
that's what I'm hoping. Like I've kind of been avoiding saying it up till now. Like people are speculating, and I'm really hoping for this. That with this new reveal, like this is a brand new reveal. That this confirms Generation 7. Nothing's been stated yet about it. We haven't seen any others besides this Pokemon. That's just what we're hoping.
Well, I know in the past that right when they get around to announcing a new generation, now you're just going to have to remind me, either you, BJ, or the audience, like, which came first, the first reveal of the Pokemon or the announcement of that generation? Because I remember, like,
the first reveal.
Yeah, because it's like, I remember, not this past generation, but the generation before that, with Zoroark. The generation that Zoroark was introduced. I remembered we saw Zoroark and we're like, whoa, what is this? And that was technically the first Pokemon that we saw of that generation. I just, for the life of me, cannot remember. Did we get the confirmation of that generation first and then the Zoroark? Or did we see Zoroark first and that led to the announcement of the new generation?
And this has happened every single generation. There was always one or two Pokemon that would show up beforehand, before the generation was ever even announced, and then the generation would be, and then the next generation game would show up later.
Okay.
Because in Generation 1, it was Togepi, like that, but that was like a very, very early on one. And then later on, before we even got confirmation of Gold or Silver, we saw Meryl, we saw Snubbull, we saw Donphan in the movie. Mm-hmm. In Generation 2, we saw some of the first Generation 3 Pokemon that we saw before Ruby and Sapphire was ever announced. We saw, we saw Kecleon, we saw Azurill, we saw Blaziken. Let's see, in Generation 4, the very first Generation 4 Pokemon we ever saw was Munchlax. Soon after we saw Bonsly. And then Generation 5, it was Zoroark. And then Generation 6, I believe what was the first reveal?
Wasn't it Sylveon? No,
actually, you know what? Generation 6 was the first generation to break this trend. Trend. Because the Generation 6 announcement came out of nowhere. Like the very first time we saw any reveal of any new Generation 6 Pokemon was when they announced X and Y. X and Y was the first one to ever break this trend.
Okay. And wasn't Sylveon one of the first ones?
One of them, but we didn't see it until a little bit after we already saw Chespin, Froakie, Fennekin, and then Xerneas and Yveltal. So.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I know Sylveon was the reveal of the fairy type. We didn't know it was fairy because they didn't officially announce it. But as soon as Sylveon made the scene, that was when I remembered a lot of people from the very beginning were speculating this was a new type because no one could really pinpoint what the hell it was.
Yeah, so it's hard to say whether or not Magenia here really is a confirmation of Generation 7. Just based on past trends, I can see why people speculate this. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm hoping for it because I really do want a new game.
But if this if this is not a confirmation for Gen 7, then what can we expect this to be, like DLC or something?
What I'm actually expecting, I'm expecting one of two things. Because something else I keep hearing floating around is that how when they do, when they do release a Pokemon Z, if they release a Pokemon Z, what they're going to do for it is, I keep hearing speculation about there being a second half to Kalos, and that it's holding a whole a whole separate unity of Pokemon that we've yet to see, which explains why why the Kalos Pokemon numbers were so little. Like, there was only like 70-something Kalos Pokemon that were revealed in Gen 6. So people are speculating that, oh, maybe there's like 70-something more Kalos Pokemon that are going to show up in Generation in Pokemon Z. And I guess people can speculate that to be like either Gen 6.5 or Gen 7.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. That really could go either way, because it's like, yeah, we never did get a third Pokemon game this generation.
And we know there's going to be
not yet.
Pokemon, because the anime went up to Pokemon X, Y, Z, and they're hyping up Zygarde so much. It seems almost inevitable.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And, like, I know, like, I know, like, Russell's girlfriend, like, Ellie, kind of, like, argued with me about this earlier on for Twitter, but, like, I'm sort of speculating, like, this is my prediction of what's going to happen. The anniversary is on the 27th. That's the 27th from now is about
A little more than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, two and a half weeks. So I'm speculating that we're going to get this announcement of Pokemon Z or whatever game they reveal next. And then we'll probably get the game itself sometime in the fall.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, if anything, at the earliest, I can see them making some kind of an announcement during what was it, like a special Nintendo Direct during E3 or something like that.
Maybe not a direct, maybe just something specifically akin to from Pokemon, but like.
Well, I mean, regardless, anniversary or not, we can expect something Pokemon related. I mean, like, if they say, like, okay, we get, like, a Nintendo Direct or something, like, in the next couple of weeks regarding this big Pokemon anniversary and everything, if they are to announce, say, like let's suspend reality and say, okay, this is Pokemon Z, for example, then it's like, that's the announcement, but probably, like, the first, like, a lot of new information we'll probably be seeing after that announcement, they probably will be saving for E3, because E3 is only like couple months away.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm already getting stuff on Twitter like talking about E3, so it is coming.
Right.
And and I would imagine, like, regardless of whether they make the announcement in the next couple of weeks or not, we can expect something Pokemon related like that they'll be talking about in E3.
Yeah. Well, for the time being, I guess, any final thoughts about Magenia itself?
Kawaii des. I mean, it's like, again, there's, a lot of what we're talking about is speculation, but at least as far as what we've got, I mean, it does have a very adorable design to it, but that's really all we can say about it is, kawaii des.
Yeah, the concept behind this Pokemon, considering that they took like another like man-made Pokemon route and whatnot, and what little information we got regarding, I guess its origins and whatnot, it's a rather interesting Pokemon. I will give it that. But I guess we'll just have to wait until we somehow get more information about this Pokemon in particular as the months roll by.
You know one thing I just remembered?
What?
There was this idea that I had in the back of my mind for a while when I was first playing at X. How, like, the idea of this of how the life cycle works and what falls in between.
Mm-hmm.
So we know Xerneas is life and Yveltal is death. And at this point, we can kind of assume that Zygarde itself is kind of a mix in between. Like, it doesn't really represent life or death. It's more so a like a balance. Like, it's the one that kind of like looks over everything.
So kind of like with what is it? Rayquaza?
Kind of, but like what I'm getting at here is, what do you have if you have something that's alive but can't die?
Immortality.
Well, it's okay. Let me rephrase that. It has a sentience. It's not technically alive, but it's not something that can die either.
Matrix.
Undead.
You have a machine.
Yeah.
Mechanically undead.
Yeah, you have AI. You have AI. You have fucking Matrix.
You have Magenia.
Magenia.
Magenia is the Matrix. The kid
I don't know, that's just-
the kid friendly Matrix.
I don't know. I'm probably stretching things out a little bit, but it's something I'm gonna personally keep in mind. With that said, thank you all for listening. We definitely hope to hear more in the future about this Pokemon and possibly more Pokemon to come. We'll be covering it all as it comes along. We'll see you all then.
All right, bye everybody.